What's going on YouTube? Your boy Oma Mustard is back with another video, and let's talk about SummerSlam because I have a lot to say. But before we go any further, make sure you guys drop a like, subscribe to the channel, and press that bell for post notifications. Without further ado, let's talk about SummerSlam 2023 in Detroit Ford Field. The show opened up with Logan Paul versus Ricochet, and in my opinion, I thought this was a really good match. It's insane to me that Logan Paul, this is like his 6th or 7th match, and he's already better than like 80% of the roster. The guy has the look, the guy can talk, he can work in the ring, he's a great athlete, and because he's such a big star, he's already bringing eyes to the product. Say what you want about him as a person, like him or not, the guy takes this shit seriously, and in my opinion, he was born for this. There were a couple of rough spots in this match, but overall, I still thought the work was solid. Logan did like a buckshot clothesline that he usually does in the ring, but this time outside the ring. I thought even though it looked a little bit sloppy at the ending of it, the move overall still looked really good. They may have botched the Spanish Fly outside, but there was still a lot more good than bad in this match. For example, Logan Paul went for a moonsault off the top rope, Ricochet then caught him, and Logan Paul reversed it into a DDT. That was a nice spot. Logan also did a running power slam to taunt Ricochet because Braun Strowman was his tag team partner. That was pretty good heel work in my opinion, but the best heel work came at the end of the match, because after Logan Paul cheated by hitting Ricochet with the brass knuckles, I love the fact that he pointed at Samantha and said, "Hey, say my name. Say my name, Samantha." But that right there is how you actually use a relationship to further a storyline in WWE. Logan has picked this shit up quickly, and I'm intrigued to see what he's gonna do moving forward. The next match we had was Cody Rhodes versus Brock Lesnar, and I'm gonna keep this short because I don't have too much to say about this. Cody Rhodes started off the match by attacking Brock Lesnar from behind, but Brock Lesnar eventually caught on to that shit and started beating the fuck out of Cody Rhodes. Obviously, you have the obligatory suplexes. Brock gave him an F5 on the floor outside and an F5 through the table, basically telling Cody Rhodes to stay outside of the ring and let them count him out. But unfortunately, Cody just kept coming back in and asking for more, and Brock Lesnar kept giving him more. It worked its way up to Cody Rhodes even putting the Kimura on Brock Lesnar after Brock hit the exposed turnbuckle, and with the momentum on Cody Rhodes' side, he gave Brock 3 crossroads and pinned him. I thought it was a good match. The work was solid. I understand the story they were going for there. Cody's mom was even at ringside. It was a heartwarming moment. He finally conquered this beast that's been trying to beat the shit out of him over the last couple of months. And at the end of the match, Brock Lesnar actually shook Cody Rhodes' hand and hugged him. Now, to be honest, I know a lot of people are confused about this, and this is just my rationale here. I think the whole purpose of this story was just to give Cody Rhodes an obstacle and milk time after WrestleMania for him. I mean, what was the #1 complaint about Cody Rhodes beating Roman Reigns at WrestleMania? It's that Cody Rhodes didn't go through enough adversity to get to that moment. I mean, the guy didn't even lose a match before that match at WrestleMania with Roman Reigns. So obviously the logical solution is to not only have him lose at WrestleMania, but to have him get his ass beat by Brock Lesnar. And the whole handshake at the end of the match, it's clear that Brock Lesnar did not want to be a heel, nor did the company want Brock Lesnar to be a heel. So now that the feud is over, turn Brock back to being a babyface. Because I think over the last year or so where Brock Lesnar has been on this joyful babyface cowboy run, he's actually been the most entertaining that he's been in a very long time with his character work. Because with no Paul Heyman, I don't think that heel Brock Lesnar is the way to go. Especially considering he's gonna have to be cutting a lot more promos, and he's better cutting promos as a babyface than as a heel. But next on the card, we had the SummerSlam Slim Jim Battle Royal, and before they had this match, I'm not gonna lie, they had a hilarious video package. I mean, they may not have intended for it to be funny, but it made me laugh because apparently they had a recap of the legacy of the Battle Royal match, which is just insanely funny to me because we get Battle Royals like every other month, and they literally don't mean anything. I mean, just look at the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. It's not even at WrestleMania anymore, and most of the guys who win that thing don't go on to do anything. Case in point, guys like Cesaro or Baron Corbin. But still, nonetheless, I was intrigued to see what happened in this Battle Royal like many others because LA Knight was the prohibited favorite. You also had Omos in the match, who was the obvious monster, throwing out guys left and right that didn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. They eventually did the spot where all the guys come together to eliminate Omos over the top rope. There were a couple of things in the match that I liked, like Austin Theory being eliminated by Santos Escobar, which I hope is just a sign to come because this Friday Santos needs to beat Austin Theory. LA Knight eliminated Brunson Reed. AJ Styles got eliminated by Sheamus with an assist from Karrion Kross to continue their boring ass feud, which left Sheamus and LA Knight as the final two in the Battle Royal, which then led to LA Knight eliminating Sheamus with a clothesline. This was a nice moment for LA Knight. I think it would have been better for him to beat Austin Theory for the US title, but what do I know? Even Michael Cole said on commentary commentary that LA Knight has arrived. The fans were behind him the whole entire match. They popped huge when he won the match. And even though there was nothing on the line, it's still nice to see him get a moment on the SummerSlam card. The key will be on the follow-up though. According to the reports, he's impressed a lot of people, including Vince McMahon, and following SummerSlam, he's in for a big push, so we're gonna see how that goes. Moving on to the next match, we had Ronda Rousey versus Shayna Baszler, and this is where the whole show took a dip, I'm not gonna lie to you. I mean, you talk about something boring. This was the definition of boring. And it's crazy because going into this show, this was one of the matches I was really intrigued to see, especially when they announced the whole MMA rules thing, but if anything, that hurt the match more than it helped it. The rules of this match is that it could only be won via knockout, submission, or referee stoppage. And literally multiple times in the match, they went away from their own rules. Ronda got kicked in the face, and clearly in kayfabe, it looked like she was knocked out. She fell out of the ring, and she even used time to get back in the ring. Then you have a point in the match where Ronda kneed Shayna in the face where it looked like it connected a little bit too hard, I'm not gonna lie, because Shayna had a bump on her face for the rest of the match. And then the referee stopped Ronda from continuing to fight her. He gave Shayna time to recover. That made no sense at all. Anybody that's watched MMA knows you don't do that if you're a referee. You only stop the match when it's obvious that the other fighter has decisively won. And in that moment, it did not look like that. Then you get into the dumbest part of it, which is when Ronda hit Shayna with the armbar. Shayna was selling the injury after she got out of it so bad that the referee once again stopped Ronda from beating her up some more so they could bring doctors ringside to attend to Shayna Baszler. That was the dumbest shit of the match. I mean, I understand they can't go out there and actually beat each other up, but that was just really stupid. I mean, if you're gonna call it MMA rules, then stick to your rules. But after that stupid stoppage of the referee, Shayna throws her mouthpiece at Ronda, then proceeds to yell, "Fight," and the crowd goes mild. They then proceed to throw these nasty punches back and forth that look like trash, and the match thankfully ends with Shayna putting Ronda in a Karafuda clutch. Ronda passes out and Shayna is declared the winner. The crowd did not care about this match. I didn't care about this match. My girlfriend watching it with me, she didn't care about this match. And the only thing good about this that I can say is that Shayna Baszler won. That's it. There was just no reason for them to do some MMA rules match. That was so stupid to me, especially considering that the fight pit stipulation was right there for them to do. I mean, how dumb do you look to say that it can only be stopped by the referee, submission, or knockout, and then have multiple times where they were knocked out or the referee stops the match, and yet it's still not over. Bad match, but let's move on to the next one, which was a great match, the Intercontinental Championship between Gunther and Drew McIntyre. I'm not gonna lie, I was really scared that Gunther was gonna lose this match. I mean, I understand that he's just a month away from breaking the record, but Drew McIntyre was gone for a while after WrestleMania. And it was reported that he was not happy about his booking over the last year or so, and I just wouldn't have been shocked if they threw the IC title on Drew McIntyre just to appease him so he could resign. But nonetheless, this match was very physical. They beat the hell out of each other. I mean, we're not just talking about hard clotheslines, but obviously you have the chops from Gunther, you had a chops from Drew. They both hit each other with power bombs. Drew hit him with the Future Shock DDT for a good near fall. Drew even busted out his over the top rope dive, which I like. I mean, I think dives are pretty overused in wrestling today, but at least for somebody like Drew McIntyre, throwing the fact that he's big and the fact that he doesn't do it often, because of that, it makes the move feel a lot more special when he does pull it out. Drew hit him with the Claymore kick, and I'm not gonna lie to you, I got scared. In that moment, I thought Drew was gonna win the title, but thankfully Gunther kicked out, and then Gunther hit him with a series of moves. First, he hit him with the splash, then he hit him with the clothesline, and then he hit him with the power bomb, which I thought was extremely hilarious because this guy was just like, fuck it, I'm just gonna hit all three of my finishing moves to finish this guy off. Shout out to Gunther though for winning this match. Great match, I would say. You can add it to the list of great matches from Gunther in this great reign. You can argue this is the best IC title reign in years in my personal opinion. He's literally a month away from breaking the Hunky Tonk Man's record, and I'm not gonna lie to you, I don't know who's going to beat Gunther, but the moment that he drops this IC title, he needs to immediately go after that big gold belt around Seth Rollins' waist. Because in my opinion, that World Heavyweight title has had Gunther's name on it since it's been revealed. But speaking of World Heavyweight titles, that brings us to the World Heavyweight Championship match between Seth Rollins and Finn Balor. During their entrances, they both had some nice callbacks to their match 7 years ago at SummerSlam for the world title. Balor had the word 7 written on his shoulder that was surgically repaired after he lost the title because Seth Rollins gave him a buckle bomb into the barricade, and in Seth's entrance, he actually wore the same attire, at least the top half attire, that he wore during their match at SummerSlam years ago. I like the story that they did tell throughout the match of Balor targeting Seth Rollins' arm. He even threw him into the barricade with the same move that Rollins did to him that hurt his shoulder, which in my opinion, I thought was pretty unnecessary. I understand it was for the story, but I just think that move is very dangerous, especially considering that it not only injured Finn Balor, but people forget that it also injured Sting. That move is literally meant to be done on the buckle, not on the damn barricade. And even on the buckle, in my opinion, I just think that it's a really dangerous move. But hey, that's just my opinion. I could be soft. You guys let me know in the comment section. Rollins hit a pedigree on Finn Balor, which spawned a near fall. Then Damian Priest came down to the ring and I immediately sat up. The outcome that I was pulling for was for Balor to win the match and Priest to cash in on him. Unfortunately though, we didn't get any cash in whatsoever, because after multiple times of interference from not only Priest but from Dominic and Rhea Ripley as well, the match ends with Priest throwing in the Money in the Bank briefcase, distracting the referee, giving Balor the opportunity to use the briefcase on Seth Rollins, but unfortunately Balor gets hit with the stomp on the briefcase because he's too damn slow, and Rollins picks up the victory. Now I won't lie to you, I was really pulling for Finn Balor. I mean, if you didn't know any better, you would have actually thought Finn Balor was the babyface of this match, because before all the interference went down at the end, Seth Rollins literally came out with the same outfit that he wore when he injured Finn Balor, legitimately by the way. Then even before the match started, Rollins was laughing in Finn Balor's face like some comic book villain and threw his attire at Finn Balor as well. And I'm supposed to sympathize with Seth Rollins here? Nah, I'm sorry. That shit made me want Finn Balor to win so bad. And I'm not gonna lie to you, this is a convo for another day, but babyface Seth Rollins is just not really my cup of tea, especially throughout this reign in my personal opinion. He comes off like a heel a lot more than he should. But hey, I still really enjoyed this match despite not getting the finish that I wanted. It was a good back and forth between these two. They have great chemistry, and the face that Damian Priest made when Seth Rollins won this match, that was priceless. That's gonna be a meme for years to come. It's just tough to see Finn Balor suffer another loss. He's been on a real losing streak over the last year. The guy lost to Edge, then he lost to Seth Rollins, then lost to Seth Rollins again, and lost to Seth Rollins again. He has nothing to his name right now, and Rhea has a championship, Dom has a championship, and Priest has that briefcase. I just thought that with all the things going on in the Judgment Day, even if it was just for a couple of minutes and Damian Priest cashed in on him, giving Balor that big gold belt I thought would have done wonders for his character and credibility right now. But let's move on to the next match, which was the Women's Championship triple threat between Asuka, Bianca Belair, and Charlotte Flair. Now I don't know what the motto is for everybody else online, but I genuinely thought this match was kind of mid. The work in the ring wasn't bad, there were a few rough spots that I'll get to in a second, but for most of the match, what killed it for me was the crowd being so dead. And I think a lot of that was really where they were positioned on the card. Following that Seth Rollins and Finn Balor match that had a lot of near falls at the end of it, it was clear that the crowd was kind of gassed. Obviously they came alive for the ending and the cash in, but to be honest, most of this match was met with silence. I mean, there was a spot in the match where Asuka went for a top rope DDT and Charlotte sold it so weird. Charlotte also did her, of course, moonsault, and I hate that move because the biggest thing about that sucks is the landing. In the air, she looks great, but she never really actually has impact on the people she's hitting the move towards. But I still did like the match. It wasn't a horrible match. I just thought it was pretty mid because the crowd didn't seem to care. The work was still solid because it didn't follow the typical triple threat formula. Usually it'll be one person out the ring and two people fight, but there were a lot of spots in this match where it was all three of them going at it. But fast forward till the end, Bianca gets thrown over the top rope by Charlotte and her knee hits the steel steps. We are never really shown how her knee hits the steel steps, but we do hear that thud and she's grasping at her knee for dear life. At first, for a split second, I thought she might have been legitimately hurt, but just looking at how calm the referee was and that she didn't even throw up the X, that's when I knew that it was an angle. And props to Bianca Belair, just another example of how great of a seller she is. I mean, she sold this shit as if she got shot in the kneecap, but the medical people came out, they started escorting her to the back. Meanwhile, Charlotte and Asuka were going back and forth. Charlotte locks her into the figure 8, and then Bianca says, "Fuck your medical assistants," and crawls back into the ring, goes to the top rope, and and hits a 450 splash on Charlotte. That was really cool. That's when the crowd really started to get involved into the match. Charlotte and Bianca then go back and forth and exchange blows, and then Charlotte puts her into the figure 8. Asuka comes into the ring and missed Charlotte in the face, and while Bianca is in the figure 8, Asuka then gets rolled up by Bianca. Bianca gets the pin, and she is once again the women's champion. Now I won't lie, as soon as I saw Bianca crawl back into the ring, I immediately knew that she was going to win this match. Because for one, usually whenever they do those angles with people, they always win the match. I mean, Brock Lesnar's done it tons of times. But also I knew that it was a perfect thing for Io Sky to capitalize on and cash in her briefcase for that championship. Which is exactly what happens as Io Sky comes out, beats the shit out of Charlotte and Asuka with the briefcase, or at least Bayley did. And I got a little bit scared when Bianca attacked Bayley and knocked her down, because Bianca's one of the most protected people in that company. Hell, I don't even know the last time she lost a match clean other than that dumbass shit with Becky Lynch at SummerSlam 2 years ago. But Io then attacks Bianca with the briefcase, hits her in the knee with the briefcase even, cashes in the contract and hits the over the moonsault on Bianca. 1, 2, 3, and she is finally the women's world champion. And I loved it. Io Sky last year made her return back into the company along with Dakota Kai alongside Bayley, and now 1 year later she cashes in her briefcase and gets the moment of her career winning the championship. I was happy to see that, especially when Dakota Kai came from ringside and celebrated with them in the ring. That was a nice moment to see. Say what you want about the Damage Control faction on if it's been a failure or not, but you can't knock the fact that Bayley has had a huge impact on both of these women's careers. Now to be fair, there's a good chance that on SmackDown Bayley's gonna beat the shit out of Io Sky, but I am still very happy not only for Io Sky but this whole entire group, because they needed something. But speaking of needing something, that finally brings us to the final match, the main event of SummerSlam 2023, the real main event. Roman Reigns versus Jey Uso, a tribal combat match for the WWE Undisputed Universal Championship and the rights to the position of Tribal Chief. This was a great match, even though there were points in the match where it was kind of slow. They told a good story. I love the fact that Roman was talking his trash in the middle of the match, trying to get the crowd to stop chanting for Jey. They attacked each other with the kendo sticks, and I'm not gonna lie to you, I am just so over the kendo sticks at this point in wrestling. There were a couple of really nice spots, like Roman catching Jey in midair with the Superman punch. Jey hit Roman with the Samoan drop out from the apron into a table. Jey pulled out a leather belt from under the ring and started beating the shit out of Roman Reigns. And that shit I know hurt. I could feel it myself. Roman even started bleeding from some of the welts. They eventually battled into the crowd, and of course Solo Sikoa appeared, because this is wrestling, dog, and it's a Roman Reigns match. Of course it's gonna happen. Solo hit Jey with the Uranagi on a table, and then they pulled him back into the ring. Solo and Roman were setting up for a spear and Samoan spike combo, but when Reigns bounced off the ropes for the spear, Jey then dodged and pulled Solo in front of Roman, and Roman speared Solo instead. Then immediately after, we got a nice near fall where Jey hit Roman with the spear. The crowd went crazy, and obviously Roman kicks out at 2. Solo then got pissed off and started beating the shit out of Jey, and then looked at Roman. They started arguing, and you could tell there was some friction between the two because of the accidental spear. But before we could get that resolved between those two, Jey then attacks Roman Reigns and Solo and puts Solo through a table with a splash from the barricade. Jey and Roman go back and forth in the ring, and it results with Jey then not only hitting him with the super kick, but then a spear and then the splash. The crowd is going crazy thinking that Jey is gonna win, and of course Jimmy Uso fucking interferes and stops it. He super kicks Jey, throws him back in the ring, and Roman Reigns retains with a spear on Jey Uso through the table. I truly do not understand why they did this finish. Yes, I am among the people that said they hated that finish. This really just felt like shock value for the sake of fucking shock value. I mean, they have to be aware to some degree, because Michael Cole after the match even said the match was awesome, but the finish sucked. Jimmy has no reason, and I mean no legitimate reason, to help Roman Reigns here. And I think the obvious explanation would be jealousy, but you don't have to cost Jey Uso the match to get your revenge, bruh. He could have easily attacked Jey Uso later on in the year when Jey had the championship, and Jey probably would have gave you a fucking match for the title anyway. And I know that's all kayfabe thinking, but that shit just really pissed me off. Jimmy and Jey, they're probably gonna get a great match out of those two for it, but considering that neither of them are a part of the bloodline anymore, what are they gonna do apart? Like honestly, what are they gonna do with without each other. Now you've split your best tag team in the company in a division that needs the tag team desperately, and as great as they both are individually, they're not great enough, especially considering that they're twins, to really do much of anything on their own other than just be a mid-carder. And they can always bring them back together, but I just don't think that the price is worth it. I got no problem with Roman Reigns retaining because I actually wanted Roman Reigns to retain. I think the obvious thing is to go back to Roman and Cody at WrestleMania next year. But this finish, man, it just really pissed me off, and it was so unnecessary. This was literally shock value for the fucking sake of shock value. It didn't ruin the whole bloodline story, but it's definitely not a step forward in my opinion. Nonetheless though, despite the horrible ending of the match, I still thought the match was really good. People are gonna shit all over it and probably say the match sucked because of it, but I'm not gonna be one of those people. Nonetheless, SummerSlam was a really good show this year. I don't think it was as good as last year's SummerSlam, but last year's SummerSlam was through the roof. That was for real one of the best SummerSlams I've ever seen. This year's may not have been as good as that one, but I still thought the matches were solid, the stories were good, and even though there were a couple of things I didn't like and some outcomes I would change, I still thought the work was very solid. They gave us some nice moments, and that's all you can ask for when it comes to a wrestling show. So my grade for WWE SummerSlam 2023 is a 7 out of 10.